As we age, there are certain beneficial bacteria that they naturally reduce. In elderly, it's important that these bacteria are in good numbers. So the gut health has very important role to play in preventing lot of diseases, also cancer as well. Probiotics are live organisms, mainly bacteria. They are living in the gut and also available as supplements. And most of the time, probiotic-rich foods are available through which we consume probiotics into our system. It could be like sauerkraut, yogurt, kimchi, things like that. And when taken in specific doses as supplements, they also have got many benefits. Since as such, probiotics have got multiple roles to play in the gut, they enhance our immunity and prevents a lot of allergies and also respiratory infections. And also they have many metabolic effects in the sense that it can helps in bile acid breakdown and it reduces bad cholesterol to rise up. And also helps in the digestion of lactose because the enzyme which is to break down the lactose is lactose which is produced by these probiotics. Not just that, to prevent all the gut-related diseases, these play a very important role. They will enhance the gut health by preventing these diseases in the first case. For example, traveler's diarrhea. These have a role in preventing gut-related diseases and also urinary tract infections, prevents allergies, and also boosts our immunity to prevent the allergies and food intolerances. When it comes to supplements, these probiotics are available in different doses as live bacterium, and different kinds of probiotics are available depending on what bacteria it has, and they will serve different purpose. And these are consumed for different scenarios, either for preventing illness or for different kinds of illnesses. We have different kinds of probiotics. When it comes to prebiotics, we all need some kind of food which should be fed to these probiotics which are living in our gut. So prebiotics are those non-digestible fiber foods. It is rich in cereals, legumes, even onions, chicory, and all these foods, and even fruits like banana. They're rich in prebiotics. That means these live bacteria feed on this, and then they will have the beneficial effects. So we can consume the foods as such to increase the prebiotics in our body, or when there's a situation where non-digestible fiber is not suitable for a person due to a particular kind of illness, then prebiotic-rich supplements also are available. When an individual is already healthy, following a good lifestyle, like there are certain things that we need to take care to keep our gut in good health. For example, the person is having healthy diet and having good de-stress measures and reducing the environmental toxins and all, then additional supplementation is not needed. Just probiotic and prebiotic rich foods are enough. But if a person is aging, an elderly person, or have chronic diseases or have certain kind of skin issues or other issues, then supplementation may be necessary. And depending on the disease process, the type of supplements also change. For example, elderly aging person is there. As we age, there are certain beneficial bacteria that they naturally reduce. For example, Faecalibacterium, Bifidobacterium. These are good bacteria, but as we age, they are reduced. In elderly, it's important that these bacteria are in good numbers. We need to look for reputable third-party certifications like USP, NSF, and Consumer Lab, which are the third-party certifications for most of the supplements. So when you're buying a probiotic, always look for these marks by these certifications on the package. Supplements are taken for two reasons. Number one, is it for preventing an illness or is it for a disease? When it comes to a disease, it's always ideal to reach out to a doctor to look for a prescription written supplement. But if you are looking for wellness, you can choose from whatever is available on the market, but it's important you choose for something which is third-party certification labeled. That is very important. When you look for third-party certifications, it will give us that the product is pure, viable. Probiotics are live bacterium, so they should be maintained at lower temperatures because they are killed when they're exposed to heat. So it's important they're refrigerated because we need to maintain that cold environment. And also these bacterium are killed when not just for heat, but when they're in moisture-rich environment. For that reason, most of the time, manufacturers try to make them freeze-dried. The top 5 reasons why today's time gut health is of important significance. Number 1, stress impacts gut health a lot. Environmental toxins, the cooking methods that we have adopted for modern day according to our lifestyle, and the increased intake of refined foods and refined oils, and also reduced diversity of consumption of foods. These are the important reasons why in today's time gut health has impacted so much. It's very important we have balanced gut health because it is known to improve nutrient absorption, improves digestion, and also reduces the toxins. It also maintains metabolic health by improving good bacteria. It can reduce the glucose spikes in the body. And also the gut health has very important role to play in preventing lot of diseases, also cancer as well. So for this reason, maintaining gut health is important, and reducing the factors that can impact this health is important as well. Microbiome is beyond bacteria because we also have fungi, viruses, and parasites that naturally live in the gut. But everything has got a balance. When one of the good source, for example, take lactobacillus, if it is wiped out from the gut, the unnecessary microbiome starts growing. So also we have this inherent resilience where one sort of microbiome is reduced in numbers, the body will always try to repopulate and produce more good bugs. But when there is complete elimination of one kind of bacterium, the unnecessary fungi starts growing. For example, Candida starts overgrowing when there is less lactobacillus in the gut. For this reason, we need to have balance of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and parasites in the gut. Any of which overgrow will also cause a concern in the body. Microbial diversity is important because different bacteria, different viruses have got different functions in the body. Some help in producing more good metabolites. For example, Akkermansia, these produce butyrates, short-chain fatty acids, which are known to maintain arterial health. For example, in similar way, some fungi, which are very important to maintain skin health and digest the skin oils that are produced on the skin. So that way it will prevent a lot of skin-related diseases. So for that reason, since different microbes have different impact on health, it's important we maintain adequate numbers and adequate diversity. There are various kinds of symptoms that patient can present with. It could be skin-related issues like rashes or itching, or respiration-related issues like allergies, sneezes, and also there could be urinary tract-related issues like frequent urination symptoms, or there could be rheumatoid-like symptoms like joint pains, or even rashes on the face, or increased photosensitivity. And also these symptoms can be more severe. Sometimes complete disruption of gut microbiome also have been associated with inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, or sometimes it has got cancer-related issues like colon cancer. Absence of certain gut bacteria have also been linked to colorectal cancer and pancreatic cancers as well. So we have 100 trillions of microorganisms sitting in the gut, but for very good reason. Number 1, having this diverse gut microbiome is important for the right amount of hormones which are released from the gut, because we all know more than 90% of the serotonin is released from the gut. That means gut has a large role to play in the brain health. Number 2, it also has close association with innate immunity. These beneficial microbes sitting in the gut work very closely with immune cells and help in the production of IgA antibodies. Number 3, this also has got a very important role to prevent the diseases by guarding the gut against any toxins from entering into the body. So for reduction of infections, for maintaining the brain health, and also for maintaining overall health and metabolic health, having good balanced gut microbiome is very important. When we do a gut microbiome test, there are few things that we generally look at. There are certain beneficial bacteria which should be in good numbers like Faecalibacterium, Bifidobacterium, Prevotella. And also we look at something called Firmicutes to bacteroids ratio. Usually bacteroids should be on the higher side because they have many beneficial health benefits in the body. But we see that in certain metabolic disorders or people who are in obese, this ratio is affected. They have more Firmicutes compared to bacteroids. So things like these are more evident. And also we look at Faecalibacterium progenies because having this kind of beneficial bacterium will prevent a lot of gut-related diseases like IBD, and also it has a it can prevent colitis as well. So we look at these kinds of balances, and we look at these beneficial bacteria if they are in good numbers or not, or if there is unnecessary overgrowth of fungi like Candida, or if there is any overgrowth like with Clostridium or Escherichia coli. So these are the kind of things that we look at in the gut microbiome. The number of systemic diseases that are associated with gut dysbiosis, that is when the gut is not in a proper balance, ranging from skin issues like eczema, psoriasis sometimes, and also small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and small intestinal fungal overgrowth have been frequently associated with this, since the number of methane-producing bacteria which are overgrowing when the gut is disrupted, like M. smithii associated methane production in the gut is linked to these gut-related disorders as well. And also IBD is seen in frequently huge numbers nowadays. And respiratory issues when it comes to food intolerances are growing in numbers because of the gut dysbiosis. And also we have seen major depressive disorder being very closely associated with gut dysbiosis. Also cholesterol disorders like high LDL, hypertension, obesity, and for that matter, type 2 diabetes and dysregulation of the glucose balance. All these can stem from gut dysbiosis. We have certain very beneficial bacteria in the gut like Akkermansia and even Clostridium. All these produce certain good metabolites like short-chain fatty acids, which help in production of GLP-1. When GLP-1 is released in the gut, it will make sure the blood glucose is in balance. So there are a number of studies which now show that supplementing with certain probiotics which are rich in these probiotics like Akkermansia have shown to have a good blood glucose balance. So that's how type 2 diabetes has been very closely linked to absence of certain gut microbiota. So it is important in today's time that metabolic balance can be achieved with good microbial balance in the gut. So one way of preserving these different kinds of microbes like bacteria, viruses, fungi is to decrease the disruption. Number one, by reducing the environmental toxic load. It could be heavy metals, or it could be different kinds of anti-nutrients that are coming through the foods, or it could be the stress that is disrupting, or frequent use of antibiotics, or frequent infections, or even not exercising enough, or not maintaining your health as such will disrupt your gut microbiome. By reducing these disruptors, we will be able to preserve. And not just that, we should also encourage whatever good bacteria is thriving in the gut by giving enough prebiotic and probiotic rich foods. If from the foods, the enough probiotics and prebiotics are not consumed because of the location or because of the age of the person or because of the pre-existing illness, then there is a need for supplementation. By doing all these, we'll be able to conserve the gut microbial population. As we age, it's not just about gut microbiome. There are certain other things which are reducing. The digestive enzymes are reducing. The bowel movements are reducing. The innate immunity which comes out of the gut is reducing. And the number of regular bowel movements are reducing. The thirst is reduced, so the people consume less fluids as well. So because of all these, there are reduced bowel movements, which can lead to diverticuli in the gut, which can encourage growth of unnecessary harmful pathogenic bacteria, also will reduce the beneficial bacterial growth. All these can happen and hence can contribute to constipation at the terminal end. So all these pathophysiological mechanisms, as I said, that decreased hydration or decreased consumption of foods. Some people stick to very restrictive kinds of foods. Some people are not tolerant with non-digestible fiber. So depending on these variable factors, they end up with constipation. In today's times, people are more allergic to foods compared to previous times. One of the major reasons is because of the use of the refined flours and refined sugars. Especially when we use refined wheat in today's time, we have more gluten compared to what we were eating 10 years ago. Today's wheat is more genetically modified and hence the gluten percentage is more. And this will lead to disruption of the gut microbiome, number one. And number two, there are changes in cooking methods that we employ today. There's more baking compared to more soaking or more boiling previously, which was done. So more baking will lead to increase in the number of anti-nutrients, which can again disrupt the gut. And number three, many of the foods which are available are not very organic. Most of the people can't acquire very organic foods, and most of them are rich in arsenic or heavy metals or toxins. That is the other reason. And number four, reduced food diversity. People are restricting the foods they're eating. They're not incorporating more seasonal foods, or the foods are not very diverse. Only diverse foods can feed the diverse gut microbiome that we have. So because of all these reasons, we have noticed increase in food intolerances and food allergies in today's time, because all these also will decrease the regulatory T cells, which are important for innate immunity. So decreased immunity and also increased responses as allergies to foods are seen. When we compare to milk that we were acquiring before is more organic milk. Everybody have had their own cow sheds. We know what kind of milk we were acquiring. But only in the recent times when adulteration has increased and also the commercial production of milk has gone through many commercial ways, we don't get the pure form of milk we used to. That is the number one reason. And number two, we don't have enough lactase enzyme which is produced from the gut microbiome. One of the important benefits of having probiotics is having sufficient enzymes to break down the foods that we're eating. So most of us in today's time don't have enough lactose to break down the lactase. So that is why also we are seeing more food lactose intolerances. One of the important functions of having a good microbiome is for improved nutrient absorption, because we humans directly can't absorb the nutrients directly from the food. We need help of the gut microbiome. In fact, if you compare, the microbiome's DNA is more than human DNA in the body. So it is of that much importance to us. These beneficial bacteria are important to extract those important vitamins like calcium, magnesium, which are minerals, and iron and B complex vitamins, which are absorbed in the presence of these probiotics in the gut. So for nutrient absorption, having a good microbiome also is important, and good acid levels also is important. There's a reason why people who are on long-term antibiotics, people who are on long-term H2 blockers or proton pump inhibitors to block the acid have reduced levels of B vitamins in the body. This is because of the reduced absorption in the absence of adequate acid levels in the stomach. So we need to ensure we are not consuming a lot of antibiotics and taking long-term proton pump inhibitors or acid blockers, so that we'll have good pH in the stomach, so that in the presence of acid, enzymes are released to break down the foods and also to absorb the nutrients. That is number one. And number two, having diverse microbiomes also play an important role in nutrient absorption. Common symptoms we usually notice are related to B12 deficiency symptoms like tingling sensation in the feet or feeling numbness in the feet, or decreased sensation in the hands and feet, confusion, brain fog, not able to concentrate, or some kind of memory loss. These are the symptoms related to B vitamins. And other symptoms which are related to iron deficiency, symptoms like feeling breathless when you're doing more work or taking stairs, or decreased immunity, frequent allergies, frequent infections. These are also symptoms associated with other vitamin deficiencies. When you have any of these deficiencies, you will know that nutrients are not, either they are deficient, you're eating right kind of foods, but you're not rightly absorbing the nutrients. So we have a test to check for this. We call it NutriFit. It will look into metabolism of your carbs, proteins, and fats, and also at the level of your mitochondria, if the energy metabolism is right or not, whether you are deficient in micronutrients like CoQ10 or alpha lipoic acid, or also do you have any kind of imbalance in the bacteria or fungi in your gut. So all these things, when it comes to nutrient absorption, micronutrient levels, gut health, and also mitochondrial health and liver detoxification. All these will come to know in a single test. So this will give into the more information as to what is happening in the cellular metabolism level. It is very, if when people are on a very restrictive diets, or people are having infections, or people are on long-term medications, these are the three kinds of individuals who should look into more in depth when it comes to maintaining a good gut balance. Number one, people who are on restrictive diets. Most commonly what we see is with vegans and vegetarians, they lack omega-3, B12, folic acid and iron. Very regularly they lack all these, along with minerals like calcium and magnesium. And also when it comes to people on long-term medications, when they take, like for example, let's take statin. They are deficient in CoQ10. When it comes to other antihypertensives, they're deficient in alpha-lipoic acid. When it comes to taking anti-diabetics, for example, they have reduced B12 levels. So when you're on a chronic particular medication for a long time, you should look into particular nutrients that they will be at risk for. And third thing, if they are having chronic diseases, it could be inflammatory diseases ranging from skin, gut, eye, or autoimmune diseases. They are hand in hand having improper gut microbiome. For example, Faecalibacterium progeniese, and if you look at the colitis, people who have colitis, studies have shown that these bacteria are low. And when these bacterium are high, people have noticed that the symptoms of inflammation in the gut are less. So like that, having particular microbiome or particular community of microbiome have been associated with reducing the risk of certain disease. For example, if you take in the metabolic health, if you look at a ratio of Firmicutes to bacteroids, usually healthy people have certain kind of ratio. We have less Firmicutes or more bacteroids or more bifidobacterium. But this balance is lost in most of the metabolic health diseases or in obesity. The ratio is reversed. So these are the three category of people who should be very cautious of maintaining their gut health. Whenever we take antibiotics for a reason, for any infection in the body, it will damage both beneficial bacteria and the pathogenic bacteria. That is both good and bad bacteria. So when it is doing both, it's ideal that we repopulate the beneficial bacteria. We have to grow them back. So for that, we need to introduce more prebiotic-rich foods so that these bacteria will feed on them. And we also need to incorporate probiotic-rich foods, either as foods or probiotic-rich supplements for people who are on antibiotics. So usually, probiotics are recommended when they are on antibiotic schedule, but both should not be taken at the same time. Ideal gap of 4 hours is beneficial so that you can get the benefits of probiotics when you're on antibiotics. So at least 4 hours gap is ideal. And depending on how long your antibiotic schedule is, your probiotic dosage should be planned accordingly. When we say we have 200 to 1,000 species of microbiome in the body, it means in the oral cavity, on the skin, and in the gut. Put together, the body's microbiome hosts more microbes than human cells. So importantly, it starts with oral microbiome. It is important to prevent plaque formations, dental caries, or also it's important to maintain gum health. And also oral microbiome is linked to gut microbiome. Since having good microbes in the oral cavity also linked with guts is because in few cardiovascular diseases, it has been noticed that disrupted oral microbiome has been a correlation, which means it is linked to systemic health disorders. So it's important we maintain oral cavity, like preventing caries, maintaining gum health, prevent gingivitis, and prevent tooth caries, and maintain oral microbiome. That's one of the reasons why oil pulling is considered one of the important mechanisms by using cold-pressed oils to prevent any overgrowth of pathogenic bacteria in the oral cavity. We always think when we talk about gut health, we know there's gut-brain axis, since most of the neurotransmitters are produced in the gut through enteric nervous system, which is called second brain. Similarly, as it is influencing brain, it has got a major role in deciding how to maintain certain metabolites which are released from the gut, so that it will impact your neurotransmitter release, and in also not just neurotransmitters, hormones as well. which will decide the overall appetite control, our response to stress, our mood regulation, and also it will determine if we are storing certain amount of estrogen and progesterone in the body rather than circulating it and detoxifying it. So yes, having a good balance in the microbiomes in the gut will decide the brain health, hormonal health, and the way we respond to stress. There's a two-way connection between gut and brain. When we feel anxious, or then we say we feel butterflies in the stomach, which means when we are anxious, we don't make good healthy choices. Or we tend to eat more unhealthy foods when we are not in a good mood. Similarly, when the gut health is not good, it can present with depressive symptoms, it can present with confusion, brain fog, or not feeling very clear. And we have noticed that clients who have been on a gut restoration program or some kind of gut resetting program, they feel that they're more clearer, having more clearer thoughts. Their ability to concentrate improves. So yes, there's a clear-cut evidence to show that there is a good two-way connection, both gut influencing brain and brain influencing the gut. So when we talk about nitric oxide, we always say eat nitrogen-rich foods, then you'll release more nitric oxide in the body. But it is not always the same for every individual. It depends on the genetics, it depends on the oral microbiome, gut microbiome, exercise, endothelial health. So because when we consume nitrogen-rich foods, it is rich in nitrate. Oral microbiome converts nitrates to nitrite. And gut microbiome releases an enzyme to convert this nitrite to this nitric oxide when we exercise. So for this cycle of events to happen, the patient should have good endothelial function, which means his arterial health should be good. If a person who is having a cardiac problem, who is having hypertension, whose arterial health is not good, that particular person will not produce enough nitric oxide. So no matter how much nitrate-rich foods you eat, he'll not be producing the nitric oxide. Also, if the person is not exercising enough, this enzyme won't be converting nitrite to nitric oxide. So for nitric oxide to be produced, we need to eat nitrogen-rich foods, number one. We need to maintain good oral microbiome. And also we need to maintain good gut health. And also we need to be exercising. We need to be doing all of this. And now nitric oxide, it has many different roles. It acts as a neurotransmitter. It will influence how our enteric nervous system is in the gut. It will also influence our arterial health by causing vasodilation up or widening it by preventing cardiovascular events. And also it has a role in hormone regulation and mood regulation. But there are some studies which show in diseases like IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, very increased production of nitric oxide, in fact, increases inflammation in the body. And also there was another study which shows IBS. In IBS, there's in fact reduced nitric oxide levels. So having the right balance is important, striking the right balance is important. But that can be achieved only when we take care of all these aspects, from beginning of eating right kind of foods which are high in L-arginine to exercising and preventing any disruptors from disrupting any of these events. We have seen our grandmothers and we have seen our mothers soaking lentils overnight, or we have seen certain kinds of cooking methods. It is because most of the plant-based foods have intelligently produced something called anti-nutrients. It is called by different things like goitrogens in cruciferous foods, or tannins in dry fruits, or lectins in legumes. So all these anti-nutrients are designed in the environment to prevent absorption of that particular food. But since we are eating these plant-rich foods, we don't want these anti-nutrients because they will decrease the absorption of nutrients that are coming from the plants. So to avoid it, we have different cooking methods that we can imply. Either soaking, boiling, fermenting. These are the different kinds of things that we can do to decrease anti-nutrient levels and to increase the absorption of nutrients coming from these plant-based foods. But there are other kinds of cooking methods which are used in modern day world which are decreasing this nutrient absorption, because antitannins are actually increasing with this kind of cooking, like baking especially. So it is important we employ these cooking methods, especially when it comes to plant-based foods, to reduce these anti-nutrients so that we can absorb the nutrients coming from it.